Mm.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kundalini Hour. We have a nice full show tonight. I'm Kai Shanti. We have Alan Steinfeld, New Realities, and Tim Ristow is joining us today, our sometimes co-host. And our very special guest today is Guru Swami G. Super excited to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you.
If you've ever looked on YouTube for Kundalini, you've probably seen her videos. That's how I found her.
Yeah, they might pop up. I've only been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah. And you've been on YouTube for a good portion of that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 20 years on YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. That's great.
Yeah, since 1999, yeah.
I didn't even know YouTube existed in 1990. That's great. So, Tim, would you like to do a little introduction of Swami G?
Sure. Guru Swami G is a lifelong seeker with came through the Christian tradition and then later through India and Shaktipat toward self-realization and liberation. And she is a guru in her own right and helps her students move towards liberation. And she's been doing that for, I don't know, longer than I know, I think at least 20 years. And she's been on YouTube also for 20 years, sharing her work and sharing her insights and many things I love about her. One is the authenticity, is that I feel when I watch her videos and I listen to her, it's her own experience primarily, and then supported texts or let's say yogic history to support what she's saying. And she's not afraid where things go after she speaks, and she's willing to take on powerful people if she feels that they are transmitting wrong information. She's willing to stand in the face of controversy, no matter what anyone else says, if that's her authentic path and her experience. And that's what I really love about her, is that her views or her persona can be cuddly and sweet, but also sharp, as the case may be. And that's just beautiful. She also does tarot card reading, and I've had a tarot card reading from her, and she's awesome with that. And she's also an accomplished Native American flute player. And I love the Native American flute, and maybe we can sweet talk her later into playing for us.
Right.
That would be beautiful.
That is a great introduction. I really want to know your spiritual history there, Swamiji. Like, were you just a normal person at one point, or was it always
I've always been a normal person.
No, I mean, what happened to
Or
you?
was it Abby normal? I don't know.
Right. So I'm just curious, where did your spiritual path begin?
Oh, it started quite young. I came from a family home where there wasn't a lot of, warmth and cuddly things. I was pretty much on my own. So I started looking very young, was interested in religious things. My parents were not. My background was I saw my grandmothers each a couple times. Now, the one grandmother was a Mennonite. So you go to church with the little white cap and you sit there. And the other one was a holy roller. Hallelujah, praise the Lord, out in the lake. Yeah, so the two opposite spectrums of Christianity. And then my father would like to read Edgar Cayce.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was everywhere.
Full spectrum.
Craziness, yeah.
Mm.
So, but anyway, I started my journey myself young. As soon as I got out of high school, well, even before that, when I used to walk, I'd stop a lot of times at this Catholic church, and I would go in there and sit just in the quiet for a time. And I would appear to look at the cross and see movement. And I was like, okay, well, that's strange. And when I got out of high school, I went up to, I was up there in Haight-Ashbury. But instead of getting into the drugs in that whole scene, I went into an esoteric Christian order. And we'd have prayers every night. And I'd go down, and Father Blyton laid hands on my head. And I wasn't there for very long. I was only there for a few months when I had gone down there, and he, did the blessing in the evening. And all of a sudden, this gold light went through my body. It was 4 inches wide. I can tell you exactly what it was. It nailed me to the floor. I was there, and all of a sudden I'm like this, and he knew exactly what happened.
Wow.
It awakened Kundalini. And from that moment, I looked up and saw the cross on the wall had a purple aura, and or was it both? And then the one on the altar, one had purple and one had gold around it, the crosses. And I started seeing auras. And I was thrown into a samadhi, which I didn't know what a samadhi was at that time. I just knew if I walked across the street and got, hit and died, I wouldn't have cared, because I was just...
Let me ask you about that bolt of lightning. Did the guy who did that call it Kundalini, or did he call it like the light of Jesus, or the Holy Spirit?
He said it was enlightenment. He called it enlightenment.
He didn't call it the Holy Spirit or anything like that.
Yeah, they'd see it as the Holy Spirit, but
Right.
he was saying it's enlightenment. Now, I don't think he should have said enlightenment, because this is just the very beginning of the journey, just starting. So if you tell somebody it's enlightenment, they're going to think I'm done, I'm all that in a bag of chips, and you haven't even begun yet. So anyway, that it was very pronounced at that time. So I was there, and there was some jealousy there, because there were people that had been there for quite some time. And here I am, newbie, and already had that awakening beginning. So anyway, I left there and started my journey, and it just took me through so many avenues. I went to, was with Prabhupada for a short time. Didn't stay there, but I did learn some things. I never took initiation with the Hare Krishnas, but I did learn some things while I was there, of course. And I was there. I was in the San Francisco temple. I went to the LA temple and the Hawaii temple as well. And I was there doing the malas and doing the clothing for the deities and things. And he would go out for his walk. And he came in and he saw me standing there. He goes, come with me, come with me. He had me go up to his private residence and put the malas on his deities. And he said, you're going to get realization in this lifetime.
Nice.
And I think he told me because he knew I wasn't going to stay there. I was there for, again, a short time. And there were some things they were doing that I couldn't, in good conscience be around. And I think he knew more than what he was giving people.
Right.
Because what he said was, people have to be attached to something, so let them be attached to Krishna.
Ah, interesting.
Did you have a question, Tim? Did you have a question?
I wanted to ask you, Swami G, what precipitated the move from this esoteric Christianity to, quote unquote Hinduism, the Hare Krishnas? That seems like a bit, for most people, it would be a bit of a leap. Yeah. So what opened you up to that, to move across cultures or across traditions?
Oh, I was always interested in all sorts of cultural things, different cultures. I'd always been open to that since young. So for me, it didn't feel like a big leap. And let's face it, it was fun dancing for Krishna and everything. You get up in the morning, Hara Vishnu Padaya, Krishna,
yes.
Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami, and you're out there dancing and everything. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, yes, I bet.
Did he have a lot of energy? Shakti himself, Prabhupada?
Prabhupada, he never smiled. He was the most grim-looking guy all the time.
Really? Even though they're so enthusiastic, that's interesting.
Yeah, but he never smiled. And
Did you
things
feel
really
energy?
changed when he passed. Things really changed with the movement.
But did you feel any energy from him? Any Shakti?
No, I wasn't getting that type of a thing.
Okay.
But I think he did know more than what he was giving out because, like he said, let them be attached. They have to be attached.
Right.
So he only went as far as the Bhagavad Gita. He didn't give the rest of it, So anyway, some of the things that they were doing, I was like, no. And so I left.
How did they view the Kundalini process? Were there other people around you who also had their Kundalini awake? And how did they kind of deal with that or seek to Sherpa people through it, or did they?
Yeah, no, I didn't notice anything when I was there. And my head had, it awoke while I was at the thing, and then it kind of subsided for a little while. And then, after a few years, couple years or so, I was sitting there one day, and then all of a sudden it just opened up like crazy. And from there, it was full blown for 30 years.
Wow. What opened that up again? Was there something you did to open it up?
Just my meditation and my seeking. I was what I asked for, and I didn't know what I was asking for at the time. I asked to walk the path of Christ, and
Wow.
Yeah, it really was a lot of intense experiences that happened along the way. But my whole thing was just wanting to know God. Truth is God. What is God? I want to know truth. I want to, that was my motivating thing. I wasn't looking for relationships and parties and all of that. My whole thing was just that inner seeking and search. Yeah.
So you weren't with the Krishnas still when the thing opened up. You had left them already, right?
I had left them. I had that initial awakening and opening, and then things kind of settled down for a little while. And then, I was there, and at night, all of a sudden, I just heard this nod, these thousands of birds. And I said, there's thousands of birds. They said, no, there's nothing. It's nighttime. There's nothing. I'm telling you, I'm hearing thousands of birds.
Wow.
So that awakened. The nod at that point had started, and just feeling like you're going to spontaneously combust. You're in your body, you're out of your body. Just so many things were going on through the journey, through 30 years of journey.
Did you know it was the Kundalini that was making that happen? Did you know what was happening?
At that point in time, there was nothing anywhere. The only thing that was out there about Kundalini was Lee Sanella's book. That was it. Now, on every corner, you can find Kundalini books and all this. Well, a bunch of them are nonsense, but I mean, you could still find things out there. But at that point in time, there was nothing.
When did you get a teacher, though, that maybe directed you, or maybe you never had one? What was your next?
I didn't have too much of a teacher. When I found out what it was, I was in Arizona, and I went to a, what's the name of it? A Sikh temple. And I'm seeking answers. I'm seeing the blue pearl. I'm seeing the blue pearl and all this stuff all the time. And the person that knew what was going on was actually the janitor there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's a truth. He goes, that's the blue pearl. That's Kundalini. So at that point, I found out more about what it was. But, I never really had a teacher per se that was guiding me through Kundalini until the very, very last part of it. I did have a teacher that broke through the conditionings. Yeah. So most of it I was on my own, really trying to find my way through the journey.
And did you have Christ as an astral teacher or something at that time, since that was the path that you set for yourself?
It wasn't that I was having astral teachers, I was just doing a lot of prayer and a lot of seeking. Yeah. But it wasn't like I was hearing a communication with anyone at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But you were feeling a lot of energy in your body. Can you describe what was going on physiologically?
Oh yeah, a lot of energy in my body. Like I said, sometimes for about a year, it felt like I would spontaneously combust.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really strong. And then all of a sudden, it went from that really feeling like you're going to spontaneously combust to like an ice cold glass of water being poured in your heart. And I was just, like this.
Wow.
And so it settled from that feeling like spontaneously combust into other things. But, at the time you're seeing visions, you're having all of those dreams of, that are so common with Kundalini, which I didn't know at the time.
Well, like what? For people who aren't aware, what kind of visions and dreams were they?
Okay, the dreams were, usually vehicles are representing the physical form. You'll dream of snakes. That's Kundalini. Like in one thing I had, when it was particularly really active, I was dreaming of a taxi and you opened the door and it was filled with snakes.
Wow.
I mean, the whole thing was filled with snakes. And then another dream was going down like this boardwalk thing and this big cobra is behind me.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you've got fire going behind you and this cobra is coming. And yeah, those types of dreams. And then as things start to break apart, you'll have more physical buildings exploding, mountains exploding as things are starting to, fall away, as things are beginning to become less dominant. Then you have those types of dreams. And some of the best ones were ones where all of a sudden you're there and I'm in this like waterway, crystal clear. And it's as far as deep as you can see, just crystal clear. And you're like flying through this waterway. That was fabulous.
Nice. So when did you become a teacher for people? Like when did you start to share all that?
I didn't become a teacher until I completed my journey completed.
Oh.
In 1999. In October of 1999 is when everything completed.
How did you know it completed? What happened to you?
Okay, well, I had gone to, at first I was in the US and I'm thinking of the Tantra that you need to balance this stuff and everything. So I had talked to this guy online and my family and we're tantrics and this and that. So I decided I'm going to go to India. So I gave up everything here and I went to India. But I'll tell you what happened on my way there. When I was in the airport, I was looking for these books and there was this one book there and I decided to get it. And I said, well, I'm not going to any ashrams or anything. I don't want a guru. I'm not, not interested in that. And then I saw this, another cassette with this guy on there Rajiv. And I go, yeah, like I'd go to that Yahoo. Oh. Anyway, so I went to India and I met with this guy and I knew he didn't know anything. Okay. So I went, well, as long as I'm here, I'm by luck now. Okay. Papa G's passed. So I guess I can go to that ashram. It'll be safe. He's not there. So I went to the ashram and they go, we're having music tonight. Would you like to come? And I love the music. So the bhajans, yeah, I'm there. I'll come for the bhajans. And I went in there and this guy is there singing, and I look at him, he looks at me and immediately knew there was something there.
Mm.
And
that was your guru.
He wound up being my guru, and wouldn't you know, I didn't recognize it till later. That was Rajiv, the same person I said I would.
Oh my gosh.
So the universe has a sense of humor. But Papa G appeared to him a number of times and said, you have to go sing bhajans now. I didn't want to go there. He didn't want anything to do with the ashram after Papa G died. He had been taught by 3 different tantric masters. Rajiv was actually a tantric master. And he just didn't want anything to do with the, selling of Papa G and all the stuff that was going on there. But Papa G appeared to him and said, no, you have to go. And sure enough, he wound up being my guru. So I was with him only for a couple months. And then he was going to the US to teach in Netherlands and everything. But at that point, I was pretty much, had gone through almost, 29 years already of the Kundalini journey, was pretty ripe at that point. And I had written these things and he read it. Oh, well, if you believe this, you're already there. And so, I'm like, and the next time he turns around, you idiot, you fool, you know nothing. I mean, just scream. And the energy was so strong, because he really is a tantric. The energy was so strong, I literally could not speak for 3 days.
Wow.
Wow.
He yelled that, he said that to you?
Absolutely.
Oh.
It was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Wow.
Now, at the time, you don't think so. You want to yell back, you want to, but it threw me back in on myself. And caused that process to start of neti, not this, not this, not this. And that's what finally broke through the last of the conditionings, was that. So I'm forever grateful at that. That was the best thing that could have ever happened.
Wait, I just want to get that moment. So at one point he said, if you wrote this, you're already there. And then he turns around and yells at you at that in the next breath. And it's like, it's such a shock that your personality sort of dissolves or something. I guess.
It just threw me back in on myself, where I, like I said, literally, I could not speak for 3 days. I was mute.
But and then from there, what happened then to you?
From there, I was still doing my meditation and just being in the moment. And it was like every time I would walk across the bridge in Rishikesh, I would physically lose sensation of my body. I would feel like a puppet trying to move the physical form across the bridge, across the Ganges. And so, like I said, it just threw me in on myself, and I was just looking that anything that's transient cannot be the divine is. And you're doing that thing. Well, emotions are transient. This body is transient, so you're going through all those things, but in a very deep way. And it just keeps cutting those things. So in October of 1999, I sat on the banks of the Ganges, and all of a sudden this great terror hit me. I mean, terror, like, and that there were parts in the journey where you feel that terror that comes up. But in this case, I knew I had done everything I could do. And so I literally said internally, on the altar of truth, I lay myself. And at that point, you don't know, it's like feeling like you're in the Grand Canyon in pitch black, and you're walking and you know there's an edge there, but you're compelled to go forward. It's that type of terror. And so at that point, you don't know if you feel like you're going to die or you're going to be possessed. You don't know what's going to happen, but you know you've done everything that you can do, and now it's at the mercy of God. So it's on the altar, I lay myself, and then at that point you have to totally surrender. Totally surrender. You can't hold anything back. And the next second, it was like, boom, there was no me, no world. There was only that divine is. And it had more reality than anything in the transient world. So there was just this awareness, and it's not like you're seeing it with this physical senses. It's not that at all.
Were you able to stay in that state of consciousness? Is that
what happened was, how long was it there? I don't know. But when it came out of it, when, I opened the eyes and the world is appearing, you're seeing a world, but you know that that's not, that that's a projection, that that's not the full reality. Yeah. And from that moment, the mind had totally stopped, and it hasn't come back.
Wow.
That mind, it ends and you implode, and there is no more, I never existed. The only thing that exists is this divine is. When one comes out of that, it takes a while. You don't want to communicate with people, talk with people. You're in that stillness, that silence, and everything has changed and nothing has changed. So you're in this thing, and then everything is so vast and large at that point in time. You think it's vast and large when you first enter the heart center and you feel connected to everything and that divine love, and you have that, God realization where everything is Krishna or everything is Shiva, and you go through that process. This is so much more than what that is. So what happens when one comes out of it? You cannot say I, you cannot say me. It's not your reality anymore. And it's not that you're trying to be somewhat superior sound, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Right. So it was about 5 years to settle. But yeah, that revolving mind doesn't come back. There's just, for here, it's just silence inside, stillness, that quiet.
Wow.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
As far as becoming a teacher, then was that just a natural road out of that?
Yeah, well, when all of that stuff happened, I contacted Rajiv. And I told him what was going on. And he goes, well, are you convinced of this? I said, no, to be convinced, there has to be doubt somewhere. And there's no doubt in this. He said, that's the ashtavakra gita. That's the vivekchudamani. That's the what? I'd never read any non-dual texts. And so I got them and I read them and I go, yes, 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 yes. Because it was the direct experience of what that is. So it was affirming. And I knew at that point in reading that, which was very helpful, because I knew not to try to second guess, not to try to logically deduce it and put it into, because that would restart the mind spin. So that was very instrumental, those texts.
But can you transmit this awareness, or people have to come to this on their own? It's not like...
You can't give it to anybody.
That's right,
People that are students that come into the aura, the area, they can have where their mind stops for a time. They do have some experience in coming in contact. Yeah, but it's not like that it's going to fall away permanently. They just get a taste of it for some time.
And
Have you had any students that have come to full realization that you?
No.
No.
I had one that was very, very close, but she didn't make it through. You know, when you get to the very end and you have that, and I didn't make it through last lifetime either. I went crazy. I lost my mind. In the last life, I was a Buddhist, and they were talking to me about this ceremony, and I go, yeah, that'd be great. You know, I'm thinking it's, you know, but it was the Choga. And I had a direct revelation of that in this lifetime. It was very real. It wasn't a dream. It was like, you know, and I'd never heard of Chode. I didn't know anything about Buddhism in this lifetime. And then I looked it up and found out there was this thing. And it's where you invite the hungry demons to feed on your flesh and things. And it became it became very real to me in the last life. I lost my mind. I couldn't go through to find out it was an illusion. Okay. So I didn't make it through last lifetime. She didn't make it through this lifetime. She had to, at the very, you know, she was very, very close. But again, the seeing all those visions and things became too much for her. She couldn't complete. But she was very close.
Now, did you bring that fear that you had to work through into this lifetime from that experience?
I can't say, you know, you go through other things here, you know, in one point you feel like this demonic thing is coming. And I was literally in the middle of the floor with like this. I'm surprised my hair didn't turn white. But it was through that process of finding out you don't fight it, you don't love it. You just have to be impartial and watch it and see it. And if you're not feeding it energy, it has to dissipate. But you've got to be willing to sit through that. That's why I like the little Buddha when they have Keanu Reeves is sitting there and all this stuff is coming at him. And it's like that. All these things are coming at you in your face as if they are reality, and you have to be able to go through them and not give it energy, and it will dissipate.
Yeah. I feel Shakti when you say that, though. That's a kind of empowerment contemplation. Just because it's all like that. Every moment of existence is like that. The manifestation of illusion, just trying to take us out of that space.
Right. So part of the journey is finding out what you are, and the bigger part of it is what you're not. All the soap opera that you have, you know, created in your life, your story, you know, you find out that none of that is the reality. So it's not only finding what you are, more about finding out what you are not. The netting, not this, not this.
Right.
So would you consider all of those things that come at you to be what Christ went through in the desert, what Buddha went through under the tree? And is that karma? Is that your past life coming back at you? Or
I wouldn't say that necessarily. I can't say exactly what it is. I think it's part of it is your fears and your drama to find out, you know. Another thing that happens, you know, if you're fearful you'll do something wrong, you know, if you're Christian and you fear, then all of a sudden you're going to fear you're going to do blasphemies or something, and all these fears generate, you know, and you have to go through all of those things. Yeah.
Well, Tim, can you relate to that? You talked about similar things for yourself, right? Can you?
No, really. I mean,
No?
there's the Yeah, at this stage, no. I've like got to a void place where I felt very cold and empty, but it wasn't, there was no terror. It was like later I felt it was Kali's womb. So yeah, it was black and dark, and I was tingling everywhere, and I felt, wow, what is this? This must be what the Buddhists are talking about. And that actually precipitated what I view as the Kali awakening. It was first being in this temple where I felt this void space, which I'd never felt before. And then the next day was the Kali experience.
I experienced that terror earlier this year, though. Some sort of extreme terror that I've never experienced anything as intense as, and I didn't think I would survive it.
Yeah, those experiences can seem very real, and they're very, but it's something we pass through. We pass through it and make it to the other side. And
I find that I have a bit of PTSD. Like I keep thinking it's going to come back. It's going to come back.
No, well, 9 out of 10, it will come back.
Oh, wonderful.
There are bad tidings, but yeah, you will have to pass through that. And, again, just remember, it's illusion. It's your fears. It's your fears and things coming. And again, something that we have to see as illusion. We are the creators of this. And yeah, it's like I said, when I sat down and everything finally imploded, in that second, it felt like I'm either going to die and totally die and be gone forever, or I'm going to be possessed. Neither one of those are good options.
Right.
But you just stayed with it. You just became, you just watched it all like pass in front of you. Is that what you're saying?
At that point, that's when I totally surrendered and said, God's either going to pull me through or not. This is like do or die. And I knew there was nothing I could do. This, it happens by grace, not by doership. You have to do your things on your path, but it's by grace that we finally, that last thing.
Well, is this what happened to Ramana Maharshi, would you say, when he just contemplated his death as a?
Yeah, but I think he was so far ahead that he had such a thin thread. That he has such a thin thread.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you take people to that? How do you get people to that place where that's like facing those illusions when you work with people?
Well, when I work with him, I wrote my book, Kundalini From Hell to Heaven, and it talks about my experiences, and these are things that can come up, and these are things that can work or not, but everybody's got to walk the path themselves. You can't do it for anyone. I wish I could wave a magic wand, but everyone has to walk that journey. It's the mystic's journey. And you can be there to give them some advice, but they have to do the journey themselves.
But what about these teachers, gurus who give the Shakti to start to activate that?
Oh yeah, the Shakti comes. I have, there are practices I give people that will awaken Kundalini for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Like what kind of practices, if you want to share? I'm just curious.
Well, some of the starting ones, you can do the I am that I am with your eyes closed. I am that I am, I am that I am, and focus on your heart center. I am that I am, I am that I am, I am that I am. And with your eyes open, whatever you see is Om that I am, because you are part and parcel of everything.
Nice.
So with the eyes closed, you are that divine is, and with the eyes open, the projection of Shakti, you are also within all of those things. So that does help to break down some of those feelings of distance. So that's a starting practice. I also have other practices that are given. Some of them are there to cut through some things, and some are there for expansion.
So you can tell where someone is on their journey if they're asking for help and know pretty much the practice to give them.
Well, it just depends. So you have to kind of know them a little bit, because you have people that come in and some of them seem sincere when they come in. But if they got some ego thing that they want it for, they'll start, Kali can either cut through everything or she can delude you completely. So if you are there for ego reasons, she will take you on a path of delusion.
And the person won't know, though, because they think they're on a path. That's the problem, though, right?
It's a problem. I had somebody who was on the path for a few years, and I had to put them off the path a few days ago because, I could see they were really getting off where their judgment was totally off. And I said, you're best not to do these specific mantras anymore. Okay.
Yeah. We were talking about
well on your journey, I wish everyone well on their journey, but sometimes you have to say it's time to part ways.
Well, can you tell them, look, you're being deluded? I mean,
They don't hear it.
They won't hear it.
They don't hear it. No.
We were talking about that, Kai, with some people and it's but they won't hear it. That's
no, absolutely will not hear it. No.
So
they go down a rabbit hole and they've exchanged the light for the dark, and they think that dark is light, and you cannot reach them at that point.
And so they have to just travel their own karmic path.
Yeah, they have to get whacked by heavy karma, and hopefully they'll fall hard enough that it will jolt them enough to start looking upward. But
Wow.
Very difficult to pull them out of that.
Boy, that's a hard one to witness.
Well,
it's very hard to witness. I've seen that. I had one person that was there and they wanted to say all the right things and try to be put on a pedestal, but behind the scenes they were doing things. And the most terrifying thing I have ever had as a guru to witness was I physically saw them in their home and this dark force following them. And they had basically invited it in.
Unknowingly or?
Knowingly, basically knowingly, they had invited.
They didn't know it was dark, though. They thought, or they were deluded in thinking it wasn't dark. Isn't that true? I mean, no one intentionally invites the dark forces in. They get into things, ego-centered things and stuff, and they invite these things. But I saw it following them to take them over, and I got the most hair-raising communication from them afterwards of just demonic spewing. And it's there's nothing you can do if they invite this in by themselves. You cannot save them. You can't go in there and do anything for them.
And so is there a certain amount of power that comes with that, which would become a teacher that goes off balance?
They can have some amount. The darkness has some amount of power, but it's a shadow. It all starts from some seed of truth somewhere, but the shadow keeps pulling it away and pulling it away and pulling it away until it becomes so dark that they don't even recognize light anymore.
Right.
And shadow doesn't have as much power as that infinite light. No matter how much they want to believe it does.
Do you think that is, Guruji? Like, I'm thinking of your confrontation with Nityananda, and I'm thinking of plant medicines, and I'm thinking of, many examples of that people, that those might be examples of what you're talking about.
Well, can you talk about that, Swami G, the Nityananda confrontation and the plant medicine?
Well, I went to see Nityananda to look at his satsang one time, and they come out and they show this video, and he's a Paramahansa, and look at as a child, he's sitting there, and just, nonsense. And then he's giving them this, this exercise to do. And I recognized that if they are off balance, this could be very dangerous. So I went to see him. And he thought, at that time I was still wearing the saffron and everything and he thought I was there to ask him for something. So he had them wanting to video it, and, that I'm here to bow to him. And I told him, you want to send your people out of the room, because you're not going to want them to hear what I have to tell you. So he sent them out. And I told him, what you're giving is dangerous. If people are off balance, it can be very dangerous for them. I'll figure it out later. And
that's what he said?
Yeah, he literally said that.
Wow.
I'll figure it out later.
Wow.
And so he had his people come back, and then he's telling in front of them, oh, she can come in and see anything she wants to. I want to invite her in. And then, the minute, they were not in the room, he told, don't you ever let her near this place ever.
Oh.
So he that's the way he constantly was, and I confronted when he, that he was making them sign these documents saying that they had to watch porn and this and that, and, the sexual things he had going on behind the scenes. So I started confronting him very early when all of that stuff started. And he's really two-faced. It's really bad.
Did he answer your questions about that about the porn and the sexuality?
Oh, no, of course not.
What was the impetus to there are a lot of, bad characters out there, deluded, we could say charitably, or malevolent, we can say on other things. One could make a whole lifetimes of confronting these kind of characters. What motivated you, or gave you the energy or the direction that, I'm going to take this guy on and see it through, this guy?
Yeah, well, because so many people were losing he had them maxing out their credit cards, putting their houses, they would lose their houses. He would steal land. This guy would tell them, you have to get X amount of dollars in here. He would have them on the phone telling, just.
This is Nityananda? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nityananda. And then the police are coming after him, and he ran away from India because he knows he's guilty. He's going to go to jail.
Right. Now.
And his courses were like, it wasn't like $500, $15,000, $30,000. He was just, and continual. A genuine guru is not going to be sitting there charging you money like that. Yeah, you should give some donation in gratitude, but you don't sit there and charge $15,000, $20,000, go max out your credit cards. Don't worry, the money's going to show up in your bank.
What do you make of all that, Guruji? Is that, would you say like that's a demonic possession, or just an ego out of control? Like someone so malevolent with such bad motives, wow, that's pretty rare to come across in life. I don't think I've come across that extreme a character, thankfully.
And also, does he think he's a good being? Does he truly believe that?
I think he's full of himself. He wants to dress up like Shiva. Then he does these light shows like Shakti. The light shows go on. He's just.
I don't know.
But he walks around like he thinks he's God. He tells them he's God.
And that's their test, to believe it or not, I guess, right? That's the test.
Yeah, but he took all the scams that, like Sai Baba.
Yeah.
He did all the scams, and he put them all together. He took all the ones that he could find of the scamming things that were being done, He took a little of Osho, he took a little of Sai Baba, he took a little of, and put them all together
That's
and
so
spun
funny.
it and put it out there.
What would
Wow.
you say?
And my thing to tell people is all these gurus that have big stages and a big, huge following, they're feeding egos. They're not there, a real guru is going to be, they're going to be tough, and they're not going to be seeking name and fame and fortune and a big, have a big following.
Right.
Right. But then you see saints like Ananda Maima, who just naturally had that huge following.
Yeah, because they're the real thing. They're the real
Mhm.
Shakti. They don't need to do all those games, That's
I can tell you the story about Nityananda, the Avadu Nityananda.
This one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us that. Did you meet him?
Huh?
Did you meet him?
I did not meet him, but I've spoken with the son that had the father that was with him
Mhm.
when he said why he was leaving the form. He said, I'm leaving the form because there's nobody genuine out here.
Mhm.
They all want something. There's no genuine, I have no one that I can recognize. And then we have
Muktananda.
Muktananda that was trading on that. And actually Nityananda told him, you go out in the wilderness and go practice. And Muktananda was saying, oh, Nityananda, he came to me in a dream. No.
But Muktananda had Shakti, though. Muktananda would give Shakti.
Yeah, he did. But he wasn't completed. There's
Right.
a lot of them that have Shakti, but they're not completed. So the Shakti that's there is not grounded. It's not,
Mm.
it doesn't mean that they don't have Shakti.
Well, there's so many people wandering around now claiming Shaktipat because they met Muktananda. And so it's incompletion, passing down more incompletion is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not grounded. It's not grounded.
Right. Also talk about plant medicine, because I think I've tried, I think it can lift you up, but I think there's also the other side to that. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I don't work with people that are using any drugs of any type.
Right.
No ayahuasca, no,
Do you
nothing.
think it's delusional? Do you think there's really that overlay of something that's, I would say, not human in a sense, not of the light, let's
It
say?
can just take you to more illusion,
Right.
another type of illusion. It's like spending so much time in India around the Babas and stuff, and they're smoking and hashish and all this stuff, and they were just in more illusion. It's another type of illusion.
Yeah, I
And
agree
then
with
get
that.
to the other side, and it takes them quite a while for their consciousness to come back to be able to really be worked with.
That brings up an interesting point,
Very
which is,
But
the grounding. If you have, your Shakti is awake, your Kundalini is awake, you're having experiences. A common refrain is that people feel ungrounded. And I know in my own journey, let's say my non-meditative time, if you want to look at it that way, a lot of it is spent trying to ground, whether that be through exercise, whether that be through mundane tasks, whether that be through diet.
Are you vegetarian?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
In fact, you helped me with that.
Yeah, so grounding, the best way to ground is red meat. Red meat really does help to ground.
I agree with you. I love a good steak. That makes me feel so nourished.
It does help to ground you, people think that when they start getting loopy like that, they're ungrounded. They think they're in a higher vibration. No, they're just not grounded.
That
They're
is
just
so,
not grounded.
I'm so happy you're saying all this, because so many people I think, have strange views of a spiritual consciousness. And I think it's really good to tell people your truth. It might not be their truth, but I think it's important to talk
Because
about
so
it.
much,
I
so
get a
much-
lot of flack. That's the one I get the most flack from. You know, that, I'm so spiritual because I wear white or because I don't eat meat. I'm so spiritual, and yeah, okay.
basically it's like virtue signaling in this. So you'd rather look the part than face the terror, basically. So you
Right.
want everyone to admire you. You want to be seen as this enlightened, holy, love and light, whatever. And that's your motivation. But if you go to the place of, I don't know what's going on, I'm scared, I don't really know what I'm doing, I have to surrender again and again and again, people don't want to go there. They just want to say that they have.
Exactly. They want to look the part and, play the game and, okay.
Yeah.
And another thing that happens, like I said, I used to wear the clothing of sannyas and all of that. I'm still a celibate, but you don't need those outer trappings. It all falls away. You get spit back into life when the journey's done. You just get spit back out.
Right. I just
Can
want
you
to ask
talk
you,
about the celibacy? Sorry, Alan.
oh no, I
the
just want to get your, how can people find you? People are asking online. What's your website?
It's under Guru Swami G, the letter G.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Tim. I just wanted to get.
I wanted to ask you about, that's the other controversial thing, right? First, it's the red meat. And the second controversial thing is celibacy. Can you share a little bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a great big thing for me to be celibate. It's not like I'm saying I have to be celibate, it's not like that at all. If I wanted to at this point in time, I could go out and have a relationship because the mind is still now. I'm no longer in that, but what I say is on the journey, if you can be celibate, it's better because when you're with somebody, what happens? Where's your focus? Externalized.
Right, but did you?
If you're out with somebody and you're having relationship, your focus is more externalized.
Right.
So at that point, it's hard to continue to be internalized if you are having relationship. Not that I'm saying there's something wrong with relationship, but if you are wanting to try to get to realization, you have to be internalized and be in the heart center the whole time.
But did you have a lot of sexual energy running through you when you had all that Shakti coming through?
Quite some time, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do with that energy then?
It just is there. What are you going to do? It's just there. You just deal with it. But, my focus, like I said, was more on the journey and wanting to find God. And that was more important to me than being in relationships.
So do you don't think that,
sorry, Em.
no, I just want to know about the tantric path where you see the projection of God in the other and you come into sexual union as a practice of a greater.
If I don't really hold to it because, like I said, it's the tendency to become too externalized. Most tantric things are not about that. Now, in old tantra, where they were having the sexual union, what it was back when it was, being practiced was not like they have now, where you have a class and you have your partner and whoopee, we're gonna have sex and be divine, and it wasn't that. It was the Brahmins. The Brahmins would go to the tantric, and the Brahmins, what they would do, that they didn't come with a partner. The tantric master would pick their partner, and their partner was an untouchable. Now, if you know anything about Brahmins, if an untouchable shadow even touches their shadow, they're polluted.
Right.
So here it is to break through that conditioning. So the one they have to honor is an untouchable.
That's a good practice.
So that's what the true practice was. It's not what's being taught now. You know, these people are saying, oh, and it's, you know, we'll come in, we're going to have sex, and you're going to be divine, and you're going to, you know, no, it's to break through those conditionings.
Right.
It was a very sharp practice for them.
Yeah. What were you saying, Tim? You were saying?
I'm on the same thread because I see like this same, you know, there is something there with Kundalini and sexual energy, obviously. And people, even if their Kundalini is not awake, they can sense that or they see it. And I just feel like because of the collective consciousness where people are at, you know, that the collective consciousness is still sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? So the collective consciousness sees that there's something with Kundalini and sexuality, but because it's still quite dense, or in, you know, whatever you want to say, duality, lower chakras, whatever you want to say, then that's the way it manifests in the day and age, is this, you know, quote unquote, you know, new age tantra.
Yeah. So my admonition, if you are in a relationship and you are having sexual union, then become your partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Become your partner.
Become them, embody them, transcend your own egoic self and merge. But
Right.
that won't take you all the way home, though, will it? I mean, it still seems that was that a distraction in a sense?
It's a distraction along the way, but I mean, if you're going to do that, at least that helps to a little bit put you in a different state, a different way of seeing, a different, yeah.
So would you say another way? Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about siddhis, because that's the other thing that people, you know, may have confusion about. In India, it's quite common that people pursue that openly. Yeah. In the United States, you know, in the New Age world, I think most people want to be the magician. They're not interested in being the world, if you want to look at the tarot. Yeah. They're at the level of wanting to be the magician. They're not quite the magician yet, but that's what's attracting them, to be able to be the co-creator. So I wanted to ask you about that, because siddhis, you know, as you start to, as the consciousness expands, you start to have things come online which are beyond the five senses. So right. How does one negotiate all that, if possible?
Yeah, things will naturally, spontaneously come. Like here, it was, I was standing in line. I was standing behind this guy, and all of a sudden my throat started hurting really bad. Every time I get close to him, my throat would hurt. I'd back up, it would stop. I'd get close, it would hurt, and I'd go, you know, and it was just boom, immediate. The whole thing was there immediately. And I was like, do you have a sore throat? He said, yes, I've had this forever. I've done everything and they can't get rid of it. And I said, well, let me touch it. And it got rid of it right away. I mean, it was immediate healing energy was there, and how to use it was, you know, it didn't go to Reiki or any of those things. It just spontaneously, everything was there and it came. And so some of these siddhi things will come, but they can be stumbling blocks. Okay, they can be things that can boost ego. So the greatest siddha is the one that's gone beyond the siddhis, that no longer chases the siddhis. Okay, they've come, they've gone, whatever. That's not where everything is at. That's not important. Important is to find that divine is.
Right.
Can you talk about the co-creation delusion? Because I think that's most, like, I live in Abood, which is a super spiritual place, an awesome place. But if I did a survey here of spiritual attitudes among the foreigners, I'd say 99.99% believe that they're a co-creator. That's their mission, to be a co-creator.
Yeah, I think God can do it all on his own quite well. It doesn't need help from us. More than often when people want to be a co-creator, they throw a wrench in the works. Okay, they throw a wrench in the works. So
What about doership? Is that the
It's doership. It's doership. Yeah. Yeah. It's doership.
Like what is
When everything, you know, goes away, everything dismantles, just go with the flow.
Mhm.
There's no wanting to change. There's wanting to honor what is here, honor Mother Earth, honor. Each thing has its own place.
Mm.
So give it that place. Don't try to control it and manipulate it. People want to manipulate it, but you don't need to manipulate it and control it. If you get out of the way of it, it can perform its natural function. And you honor each thing's natural function rather than trying to change and manipulate it.
No, I was just wondering, is it all a manipulation if you have some desires you want to accomplish? And I mean, you can put intention out there and see what comes, but instead of forcing it, I mean, I think the ego's okay if you know it's egoic. I mean, maybe that's where I'm stuck, but what do you think?
If you enjoy the story, okay, enjoy the story.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it, you know, it's not come to that point where you want to dismantle, where it's time to, you know, I'm not saying there's something inherently wrong.
No, I know. You just have to be full enough to know it's enough, in a sense. I mean,
yeah, everybody has their own timetable as to when, you know, when they want to start their journey, or when there's that pull just to know God or to know that truth. Absolutely. And you're willing to trade in ego. You're willing to say, okay. Okay.
So you still do some type of healing work, right? I mean, you and do might not be the proper words, but
once in a while, not so often, but once in a while, yeah.
And how is that drawn out of you? Is that just an inner knowing?
Yeah, it's just an inner knowing. If somebody wants, like, one of the funniest ones was I did healing work for this girl that's in India. So I was on the phone with her, and she goes, well, let me know when you start. And the minute that energy started, she dropped that phone and she was like, oh my God. You know? And it's just something that spontaneously happens. You know, if there's a connection with someone there, then that energy just spontaneously does its work. That's all.
Would you say that that's like one, if you have like touchstones, or I don't know what the right word to use, but spontaneity, you know, that if something is coming with a plan or some kind of ambition or some kind of goal, you know, it's immediately suspect, but you can have an inner knowing. And then what Ellen said, you just wait to see if it spontaneously follows through. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, if it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, it's not something that I'm pursuing to say I'm this healer and let me put it out there. You know, sometimes people come and they ask, and it's okay, you know.
well,
but yeah, no, I don't go out to make it a profession or to do anything like that.
but if people wanted that from you, I mean, I have a friend who I think could really benefit from what you, how would they just go to your website? Is that it? And
yeah, they go to my website.
Okay.
And so it's just a process of sitting there and stilling and, you know, focusing on them and their energy, and that some transmission will take place.
Right.
If they're open to it. Now, you know, you can block anything.
No, of course.
So they have to be someone that's open to that transmission. You can't force a transmission on anyone. You don't have the right to do that.
Right.
You know, sometimes people come and say, can you work on my friend? And can you? No, that's no.
But it seems like if they're coming to you, there's a willingness. Yes or not always?
Yeah, well, sometimes, usually there is, but you know, sometimes they can have something still internally that will block things.
Right.
Is that a bit of a trap warning, like a city, you know, like the healer, you know, because you get attention, you can get income, you can get, you know, again, people seeing you as holy or spiritual, so genuine healing can happen, but again, the kind of, if we want to use the word acid test, is the spontaneity or the deep resonance. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
Well, it's an interesting inquiry because yes, the gifts are there. So do you ignore them and try to go past them, or do you allow them to be if the siddhis are there?
Well, if they're there, and you're not getting puffed up with it and everything, then it's fine. I was doing healing work for people before, and what I found was then they weren't doing the work for themselves.
Like, what kind of work do you mean when you say that?
I mean, doing their path, because they would come and then all these things would start releasing, and then they wouldn't be doing their path. And why should I work and do the path and do meditation when I can just come there and she can touch me and these things leave, and but yeah, no. So that's one reason I stopped doing a lot of the healing work, because some of the things you just have to go through and face as part of your journey.
And do you feel like I have something, I'm thinking of my own situation. I have something in my spine that's been there and I have meditated on it and gone into and prayed about it. And I mean, every level of everything I could do. Is that something you can help with? Is that something I just have to live with this way?
It could be open to see, I can't say definitively yes or no what would happen with it, but yeah, could.
But some things maybe we just have to live with this lifetime.
Sometimes it might be something you have to live with, but could do an energy session and see.
Well, there also could be some emotion that hasn't been looked at, in a sense.
I've looked at Alan, you have I'm sure you're correct, but boy.
No, I'm just saying.
I've looked.
All right.
But you could be correct.
I also feel like with these things, and I'm learning this every day, I have like an issue with my left leg going on for over 20 years. And sometimes, it's great. And then other times the whole leg is just, the ankle swells up, the knee swells up, the lower back is, all the nerves are jangled. Other times it functions completely normally. And something I have to, deal with. And I always, I was almost addicted to going to healers, really gifted healers, but it keeps coming back. And finally I'm at the stage where I had another episode recently with my knee. And I'm like, okay, so it's, I will go inside and just, I will do what I can. And, I feel by the externalizing, even with gifted healers, I'm, if you want to use the New Age term, giving away my power. But in a way it's true, because like by learning how to release this leg or heal the leg or surrendering enough to the leg heals, it will be part of my journey. And why should I look for external help? Of course, if I like tore my ACL, yeah, I might need surgery, but this isn't that.
Yeah. So, anyway, even if you realized your body is subject to the laws of what's here, I mean, Ramana died of cancer. Okay. So, same thing. I deal with different things in the body form. Okay. So it's just a body. It's a vehicle. Like your car, it wears out. Parts wear out, different things happen. It's a vehicle, that's all.
But what is the purpose of incarnation, you feel? What's the purpose for embodying the vehicle?
For experience.
But we're returning from where we came anyway, right? So what does experience get?
Eventually, yeah. But it's like the Bible with the Garden of Eden. What happened there? At first, they were perfect. They were there. They were in the garden. They were walking with God. They had, everything. They were naked. They didn't know they were naked. They were innocent. But what happened? You had the snake. Here comes the snake. Well, why can't you eat from the tree of knowledge? Why can't you have that one? And so they wanted to know good from evil. All they knew was good to that point. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to have that experience of that diversity to find out. Okay, so that's what we chose. We chose that journey of, to find out good from evil and what is this,
But how does that benefit the soul in its ultimate evolution, those experiences? What is the point of it that you feel?
Just experience.
But what's the point of experience?
Ask yourself that.
Okay, I'll meditate on that.
It's something you have to ask yourself. What is the point of experience?
Right. I mean, I like experience. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Oh, there you go. You like experience. So there's the point of it. To enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah.
To enjoy it or to know what you have. You don't know what you have till it's gone. You don't know what paradise is till it's gone. Then it's like, oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then beyond this incarnation, what do you think becomes of that consciousness?
Beyond this incarnation, what?
What becomes of us, or consciousness, or what do you feel is beyond the incarnation?
Well, I think there are so many different levels and layers.
Depends what level you're at then, right?
Yeah, let's face it, look how many universes there are. I mean, it's endless. Mm-hmm. It's endless.
Mm-hmm. Right. But
endless types of experiences, endless, if they want to go to Lokas, they go to Lokas and hang out with Krishna or Shiva or whatever. Or you go beyond that, okay, into another experience.
That's a perfect segue, because I wanted to ask you, who is Kali? Who is Krishna? Who is Shiva? What is that?
Well, the way I explain them is they are different energetic values. Okay, each one has its own energy. And so you enter that energy and you get the experience of that. Okay. Kali is time, and she can bring, again, that cutting. To read the Chandipat, you find out what she fights against: ego. Her big thing is to fight against ego. Either that or she can dilute ego fully. Okay. But it's an energy. It's an energy. Kali is also Kundalini. Kali is the Kundalini as well. And that's why they have the goat sacrifices there, because you need the grounding. You need the meat, you need the grounding. Okay.
And who manifests those energies?
Yeah.
As individuated energies.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, the Christians will say, oh, it's horrible because you were all these different gods and goddesses. Well, God, in the Christian Bible, there's Jehovah Jireh. It's got 177 different names of God. So if each one of those names, you have the provider, you have an image that represents that, you have compassion represents that, then you would have, again, same thing as Hinduism. All the different energies and aspects of that Godhead. Okay. So basically, it's the same thing, whether you're praying for Jehovah Jireh, or you're praying Kali, or you're praying Shiva, or you're praying Krishna. Each one is a different type of an energetic signature that you can enter into and experience.
Right. So I was just wondering, where are you at in your experience now? Like, what's your day like? I mean, are you just, where's your practice, or what do you do with yourself?
What I do with myself right now, I'm doing tarot because it's fun. Now I've entered, I did my path, and I told the universe, whatever I get, I will give back. which I completed in 99. And from 99, then for 20 years, basically, I did the YouTube channel and wrote the book Kundalini Held to Heaven, give out all the knowledge I can give. There are thousands of videos on there, you know. So I've done all that. So now I'm in the part of Leela, the part of play. So I went in, was the seeker, then I was doing the teacher, and now I'm in the aspect of play, Leela.
And is that pure joy for you?
Yeah, it's just, you know, living life. You're just in the daily thing. It's like, you know, it's like, I'm so bad with names. It's not popping in now. One of my favorite people, and I'm not hitting his name now, but he was a weaver.
Oh.
Okay, realized being, he just kept weaving. Or you have like the other one, Nisargadatta. He kept selling beads, you know, he lived a householder life. Okay, people would come and he'd give them, you know, whatever he could tell about it, but he kept living his normal life. So it spits you out. It spits you out back into life, and you just okay, well, you're not fighting with it any longer. When I started the journey, I wanted to be off this planet. I wanted nothing more to do with it. I was so tired of suffering. I went through so much suffering. And when it all dismantles, you go, the only thing I needed to be free of was the mind. There's nothing wrong with the journey here. There's nothing wrong with this planet, you know, with these experiences.
What is it about tarot? Can you talk about your attraction to tarot? And yeah,
oh, it's just fun. Just fun, something to do. I picked it up and yeah.
Talk about the magic of tarot, the synchronicities, how it reflects that person in the moment. Can you explain?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it has, I would say more often than not, it really does come through with what's going on. The energy picks up the energy of what's going on. And I think with the cards you're reading, the energy of what's taking place now. Now, I don't do the type of readings that says you're going to get a boyfriend, you're going to, you know, not those type of things, because everyone has free will. 2 minutes, that can all change. So I read more of the energy of the moment. If somebody comes to me and wants tarot, it's more a reading of a guidance. Here's some options. Here are some things maybe to look at. It's more of that type of a reading, not to say, oh, you're going to get a letter, you're going to get a fortune. It's nothing like that. Yeah.
So is it more spiritual guidance?
It's more of a spiritual guidance, you know, it brings in more of what's taking place. So you might want to look at this or look at that and, you know, take these things into consideration or not. And so it just gives people more of options to look at. But
in a way, it's more a tool. I get the sense it's a tool for you to tune in intuitively and give feedback to that person in a sense.
Yeah.
So it's more than tarot. It's your.
Yeah, you reach into there and you find out what's going on, and then you can also give some guidance and things as well.
It's also so helpful for the person receiving the reading, because it's something they can hold on to, rather than, you know, the mind will question if it's just your opinion, but if they see it in the cards, they can digest it, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, the tarot's been interesting. It's like I said, it's my play. It's Leela. I don't take it and say, you got to believe everything they're saying. I don't say that at all.
And people can get a reading from you by going on to your website again, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do
but
it
like
on.
I said, I don't do those readings like say, oh, am I going to get a boyfriend? When's it going to be? I don't do those
I know.
Doing this. I can't see you doing this.
Or the other big one, when am I going to get realized? You know.
Do people ask for that?
I tell you.
Well, but they might ask you how they could get realized, and do you give them practices or no?
I have an online ashram.
Oh,
So if people want to follow that path, they can look into that and see if they're ready to follow it or not.
great. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I was talking to Alan about this the other day, that when am I going to be realized? This big push to be realized, and what level are you at? And this one's more realized than that one, and this one doesn't sleep all night or eat all night. And it's really starting to eat me alive, all of this perspective from these really spiritual people. And
you never know when it's coming.
Yeah.
Never know when it's coming. I had no idea realization was going to hit in October. It was the regular day. I mean, of course, you're wanting to get out of the suffering and go through all these things, but it's like out of the blue, just boom. When it's time and things have, progressed enough, just it clicks.
it feels to me lately like it's just so much nicer to just be in the moment, living life. I mean, obviously with the highest perspective you can live life from, but that striving just gives me an icky feeling.
Yeah, no, you can't strive. You can't work your way there. You could just continue to stay in the moment, stay in the heart center, and watch your thoughts, watch your things, question that.
Mm-hmm.
Question it. I'm going to read something out of my book, if you don't mind. It kind of addresses a little bit of that. Now, if I can find it. Yeah, it's called Ego Bondage and Illusions of Truth. So all of our emotional bondages are created and held in place by that which is known as ego. Ego is the belief that we are these bodies, emotions, and thoughts. Therefore, when anything goes against any of these systems, we hold it to be an assault against our persona. Depending on our belief system and identity, which is already in place, the disturbance can be mildly irritating to downright devastating. If we encountered a traumatic situation where there was a belief that impending death was just around the corner, then that trauma may be rerun again and again in the psyche, creating even more pain and perceived trauma. But there is a way to short circuit these illusions of truth. For anything that is not liberating is not truth at all, but an illusion of truth. It is these illusions that we will address. How were they created and what sustains them? And if they are illusions, how can we move beyond them? If we are not this ego structure, then what are we? How can peace of mind be attained and preserved? Where do we begin? And where will this search end? Believe it or not, that which you fear the most can be that which liberates you in the end. The largest perceived fear can be the greatest liberator. Please bear with me in this. Right now, you're probably thinking that this woman has a serious screw loose somewhere. And if I were in your place, I would probably think the same thing right about now. But I have been where you are and have escaped the seemingly concrete fears and thought constructions and emotional baggage which kept me bound for many, many years. I have walked the path and therefore can speak from the position of direct experiential knowledge and not hearsay. All I will speak of has been acquired by direct experience. I do not have a PhD, but rather a direct knowledge of truth as it is. It is this truth that I wish to share with you today. Conditionings. From the moment we're born, the conditionings begin, and the conditions of life are set. We are born into this world with a body. Some bodies are seen as perfect and some flawed. We are born into a family. Some are glad at the arrival and some are not. All of these things begin to create the conditionings and conditions of our lives. The views of our parents and society and friends all have an impact on our thought structures and perceptions. These all come together to create our basic outlook on life and what we hold to be truth. These all create our perceptions of truth. If you're supported and told you are smart, then you have confidence in whatever you do. While on the other hand, if you're always told you are stupid and ugly, then this will color your world and your view of reality. This colors your thoughts of who you perceive yourself to be, along with all the other events in life, which also color and interplay within your reality framework. One person whom has always been sheltered within a loving family will see the world as a kind and beneficial, beautiful place to be. Whereas one who has come from a harsh and abusive environment will see the world colored as a place to be continually on guard. Then there are events which unfold in everyone's life, which will skew even these basic belief systems, holding on to the past. Now you begin to see just how much the conditionings create our basic view of reality as we know it or think it to be. With this out of the way, we begin right where you are in this moment in time. The first thing we do is look at the fact that the past is the past. So if you're rerunning the tapes of the past, let's look at the fact that by running them over and over, you can change nothing. All you're doing is reinforcing past nonsense that's keeping you bound in one form or another. If it were not keeping you bound, it would have passed right out of your awareness. For whatever reason you perceive, you are continually holding on to this perception, whether slight hurt or trauma. And you have to admit it, it's not doing anything constructive in your life. The what if factor. Now let's look at the other waste of energy, which we continually find ourselves involved in. And this is the what if factor. Trying to live in the future just never works, as the only place you can ever truly live is in the present moment of now. So what is happening when you're running the past tapes and the what if tapes? In essence, you are passing life by. You are only existing. You're not living at all. Life is in a holding pattern, continually circling around and around. And the more you feed the past and the what ifs, the more they grow into unmanageable cyclones of wasted energy and efforts. You're only attempting to deal with the change, something which is already gone. It lives only within your illusion of truth, and the conflict is there because of ego identification with the body and emotions and thoughts. And in truth, you are none of these things. So now you ask, where do I go from here? And from here, I say, it's time you found out the truth of who you are and what you really are and who you are not. Once you know, at long last, just what comprises your being, then the rest of that which is illusion will just drop away of its own accord. When these things are no longer given any energy, they will dissipate into the vapors of unreality that they are. Like a drop of dew evaporates in the sunlight, these illusions will dissipate under the light of truth. Are you ready to begin the never-ending adventure? Are you ready to begin to really live life to the fullest? To grab and rest in the freedom which is waiting for you? It's always there. And always has been there. It's only your own blinders which keep you from seeing it. Is your fear that you are nothing and nobody? Is your great fear that of death and that you will cease to be? Let's examine these fears and see what comes out of them. Freedom to be. Let us proceed to look at what is transient. What is it about you that comes and goes? When you peel away the layers of the transient, what is it that remains? When you come to that which remains, you will come to the truth of your being. You will see that there was nothing to fear and that there is only freedom that remains. And won't that be a lovely thing to remain? Just freedom to be. The freedom of knowing that you are the unbound truth of existence. That all you perceived was just an illusion of bondage and fear, which never had any reality at all, except that which you yourself give it. So, are you ready to unravel all the fears and thoughts and emotions that have kept you on the wheel of karma? Are you ready to let go of the desires to keep you bound to the wheel of birth and death? For it's not the actions which keep you on the wheel of karma going around and around. It is the thought and intent of the actions. And it is the reactions of the actions which come against you, which once again keep you bound to the wheel of birth and death, just going around and around in the never-ending spiral called life and death, birth and rebirth. We keep circling through the same old patterns again and again until we can break the cycle. In each life, we will draw the same patterns to ourselves, creating the same illusions of truth until we can break free and can see them for what they are. And once we see through them, the pattern will drop and we move onward to a new experience. Look at your life and see what patterns keep coming up again and again. Now let's walk through the door of knowledge to liberation and the freedom which awaits. There's more. Do you want to hear the rest of it?
That's great. I think we lost Alan. He probably had to go, but I'm good. You want to keep reading?
It's like fireside chat Christmas with Swami G.
I know, it's beautiful.
I'm here. Go. No, I would like to hear more. Go ahead.
Oh, you are here, Alan. I didn't see you.
Yeah. I would like to.
Let's go forward. The truth of your being. What is mind? What is mind? Is it a physical thing? Let's look here. What is the mind comprised of? Is not the mind comprised of thoughts? And just what are thoughts? Are they some concrete existence? No. Thoughts come and go like waves on the sea. First one thought is there and then another and so on and so on. One arises and falls and then the next and so infinitum. But then there can only be one thought that makes its appearance at a time. Sometimes these thoughts will start out in a whirlpool, one after another, just going around and around until you're dizzy and disoriented just from the sheer continued motion and circling around and around. But look at it again. Even though there are certain thought patterns which keep appearing and cycling, they ultimately come and go. If they come and go, then they are not concrete in nature, but fluid. And like waves on the ocean, they can appear like a ripple or with enough energy can appear as a tidal wave pulling you out into a sea of emotion and fear and despair only because they have touched upon an illusion of truth. They come and rock your world, creating waves in your reality. Let's continue on in this search until we uncover the reality that cannot be shaken. When you come to the truth, you will be set free as truth always is and is the basis for all of creation. All has proceeded from truth, is sustained by truth, and will once again return to truth. Illusions being what they are, in the end must disappear. When the illusion is uncovered, it ceases to be. So we see that mind is comprised of individual thoughts which come and go, one thought manifesting at a time. So mind is not concrete in nature. Mind is an illusion. Mind has no substance. Let's move on now to thought. What is thought? Thought has no concrete nature. So exactly what and where do thoughts manifest from? They have no substance. They arise from nowhere and return to nowhere. So why is so much importance given to something which comes and goes from nowhere to nowhere? When it leaves our awareness and perception, where does it go? It only has life in the framework of our perceptions. When these thoughts float into our awareness, what happens? We give it life by then ascribing emotions to it. When a thought comes in, if you look at it and dwell on it, does it not elicit an emotion? So this emotion gives the thought life for that moment in time. Let's follow the emotion. Emotions come and go. They are something that are particular to you alone. No one else feels your emotion but you. Others may see a reaction to the emotion, but the emotion is itself yours alone. Is emotion a concrete thing? No. You cannot have an emotion that lives independently on its own. You are the one that gives it life. Your attention to it gives it energy and life. And once again, emotions come and go like waves of an ocean, in and out, high tide, low tide. And since they are transient in nature, they are not the reality of your being. They are but ripples on the sea of consciousness. One emotion arises and is there for some time until replaced by another emotion. Once again, they are created and held in place by mind and thought. And we have already seen that mind and thought have no substance and are only passing illusions. And these illusions create and sustain all the illusions that keep us bound. So let us review. We know we're not the physical body. If you see something, are you that which is being seen? Is the body that which is watching itself? Nor can we be the mind which is created by thoughts, nor are we the individual thoughts, nor are we the conglomerate of thoughts. If we are neither of these, then it follows we also cannot be the emotions which the mind and thoughts create and sustain. And isn't our whole persona just made up and held together by these illusions of mind, thought, and emotion? So let's keep going and see just what is left. My goodness, do I even exist at all? I think it's safe to say, yes, you do exist, just not the way you thought and perceived. So when we take away the body, the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, just what's left? The truth of your being. How do you know you have thoughts? How do you know you dream at night? Or that there was no dreams? It is because of conscious awareness. You are this conscious awareness. It sees the thoughts, but it's not the thoughts. It's aware of the emotions, but it's not the emotions. It is aware of form, but it's not form. It is not concrete in nature, yet clearly it is. You are in fact no body, and you are no thing. You are awareness, energy, vibration, truth, and bliss. And these are eternal in nature. They are that which creates and sustains existence. All form, while appearing and disappearing, is created by these alone, and therefore always exists. The form may change, but it is eternal, for it never was the concrete illusion of truth which we see. See beyond the form to the formless. See beyond the illusions to truth, to the reality of truth. Now let us continue onward. We've come to the point of putting all this together. Since we are in reality conscious awareness and energy, vibration, truth, and bliss, just what thought or emotion or physical happening can touch us? None can truly touch our essence. All of the perceived traumas and hurts have happened only to this body, and you are not this body. This is how we diffuse the bondage. When the pain comes again, go into it. Go to the root. There is nothing to go into the fear fully and see that when you reach the end of it, that it will just dissipate, as it is only comprised of illusions of truth. When thoughts come and go, just see them as passing clouds with no substance. Do not give them life and form. Let them come and go like waves on the ocean. Instead of being carried away by a tidal wave, get in the boat and float downstream and enjoy the ride. When you drop the mind of thoughts and illusions, you will reach the still waters of the peace which passes all understanding. You will be the everlasting waters. You will not thirst again. You alone create the fears and bondages of life, and you have the power to let all of them go. Go into the illusion and it will dissipate before your very eyes. You will not cease to exist, nor will you find more bondage. What you will find is the doorway to freedom. You have never truly been born, nor have you died. You are beyond these forms and plays of life. All of this is created by mind and thought. So go beyond all these illusions to what and who you really are. Live life to the fullest. You are here to explore and be existence. So drop all the self-doubts and illusions of truth that keep you going around and around. You are life. You are bliss. Drop the elusive mind and thought. You are Sat Chit Anand. This is the truth of your being. And what in reality can touch or harm this truth? Nothing at all.
None.
Wow. Thank you. That was a transmission.
So that's the big part of the path, is to observe, to sit there and observe the mind and see how it comes and goes and how it brings emotion and how these things have no life on their own. But it takes actually sitting there. And when there's that pain or that bondage, you come up and you go into it deeply to the root of it. Okay? And once you see the root of it, it dissipates, it's gone.
That's exactly what I did when I was going through that earlier this year. I had no choice. I just laid there and I had to go through it. And I just, like you said, I just went in. It was so difficult, but I just went in. Each time I would just go in until it would dissipate. And it would dissipate amazingly.
Wow.
So that's all I can say. That's the last part of the journey, is to be in the moment and continue to observe the mind and question. And like I said, whatever comes and goes is not the eternal is. So that's that practice of neti, not this, not this, not this, not this.
Can I just ask you a separate question about your tattoos? What were they done for a symbolic reason, or were they just fun for you?
Yeah, most of them have to do with my journey. I have one here that represents Kundalini, transformation. Butterflies are the transformation. We've got one that's here that's Kali, and then you have the death, and then you have the birth into Buddhahood.
Why did you feel a need to represent it on your body? Why did you depict it there, though?
Just something that I did, that's all. It was my spiritual journey.
Right. Yeah, great. Are you getting more? Is there another one? No, you're finished.
No, come to the end of it.
Right. So do you feel like your existence now is just being totally present with everything and you're not looking forward?
Exactly. Yeah, for me, there's no past, no future. It's just this moment. I have things, people always ask if I'm excited about something. I said, I can't be excited. It's not here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that projection of that, trying to project in the future. If it's not here in this moment, it doesn't exist for me yet.
So there's nothing you want to do, but you did move. I'm just curious, what motivates, or is this the spirit you moved from, like you said, Florida to New Mexico? Is there just like, you get the calling to do that? Is that what moves
Yeah,
you?
I didn't, the energy was not there. I didn't like the energy there. It was not, not conducive.
But you move with a kind of intuition, though. Is that
Yeah.
sensing, like a feeling is pulls you
Yeah.
one, and we may not know why, or it's just like there it is.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you're looking forward to or back to, I guess, right? You're just
No, not really. No.
all right. Well, that's a great place to be. You're just
You're just in the moment, There's no past things that come up. Like I said, there are no thoughts anymore. There's none of that comes up at all.
Are you still singing at all? I saw you singing on the YouTube a little bit. Are you
Yeah,
doing
but I don't sing that often anymore, but once in a while.
like a kirtan?
It just kind of comes and goes. Kirtan, no, I haven't done a kirtan for quite a while.
Oh, all
I'm
right.
not seeking anymore.
Right. That's great.
I'm not looking for that connection that's there all the time. So I don't do the kirtans anymore.
Do you still have Kundalini coming through your body, like energy?
No, it's more, well, it does when I'm working with someone. Okay, sometimes then I'll feel it. But usually for me, it just feels calm now.
No.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just settled.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so, but people can contact you for either your online ashram classes or healing or tarot.
Yeah, they can contact me if they're interested in those, or if they're interested in the albums. I have a couple music things out now. Yeah.
Is your email? You want to give us your email? Is that on the website? Your email.
I'm sorry.
How do people find you on the website? Is there an email there?
Yeah. If they go to my tarot site, they'll see an email where to contact me and stuff too, if they want to.
That's for healing and tarot.
It's not on the YouTube, my Guru Swami G channel. It's not on there, but it's on the tarot channel.
Okay, great.
What's the name of is it Ganga Tarot? Is that?
Yeah, Ganga Tarot is my other one. Yeah.
And anything else from you, Tim, you think? No?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Swami G. Really beautiful.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground today, I think.
Yes, that reading was a beautiful way to bring it all to conclusion.
Well, I think the reading sort of sums up everything we've been doing on this show too, Kai, for the last couple of weeks or however long. Because,
few months. Yes, everyone, we'll probably be taking a little break. I need to sit back and take a break, but we'll see what happens in January or whenever.
I just want to ask you, because some of the past shows that we did, Swamiji, there were people talking about different types of Kundalini and different energies and different thread. Is that just all another illusion?
It's a projection. Yeah.
But there is something to it, though, because people seem to respond to different.
Well, like I said, everyone's got their illusion of truth. Okay.
Exactly.
Energy is energy, but what happens is the spin you put on it because of your past experience, your experience.
Right. Well, thank you. I'm going to have some friends to get in touch with you for some healing. I'll tell them about you, and thank you for being here. And
well, thank you for inviting me.
This was gorgeous. Yes. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate how honest you are and willing to just say it and not be, spiritually correct and just say what's real.
It is, that's all. You just put it out there. Some people can hear it and some won't, and that's fine too. It's all good.
I think it's what people need in this, oversaturated spiritual market, is just someone willing to speak their truth.
Yeah, you got to be honest. The first thing I tell my students, you have to live with honesty, integrity, transparency, and sacredness. If you do that, you can't go wrong.
Mhm.
Can you just talk about the sacredness part? What does that mean? Sacredness, I mean.
Yeah, seeing, you know, as what's there and what you're experiencing as a holy thing. Okay.
Like,
So
like
if you
everything.
Huh?
Everything, you mean, being a holy thing, or?
It should, you know, it's like I said, wherever you stand is holy ground. There is no place that God is not.
Right.
And if God is the center of your being that's given you the life force, then wherever you're at is holy ground if you see it as that.
Mhm.
It can be sacred. You can be drinking your coffee and it can be sacred if you're honoring and seeing what's there and you're in tune with it.
So those things you listed were what? Again, can you say that?
Honesty,
Honesty. Yeah.
integrity, transparency, and sacredness. If
Beautiful.
you're doing something you have to hide, you shouldn't be doing it.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. It's simple, not easy.
It's simple,
It's simple.
very
Yeah.
simple.
It is.
Yeah.
And clean. It feels clean. It's like, you know, it's just like, why can't everyone be that way?
Yeah, I don't know what they think they'll get by lying or trying to wear a mask or project something that's not there. They're only fooling themselves more than anyone else, you know? So why to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a nice time being here.
Yes. Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Mm.
Enjoy yourself and all.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too. Are you spending it with anyone?
No, just me and Mr. Max here.
Is that your cat or dog?
Dog.
My dog. Come here, Mr.
Oh,
Max.
oh,
Mr.
your
Max, the
dog.
wonder dog. Come here.
Mr. Max the dog.
Here he is, Mr. Max the wonder dog.
Oh, look at that smile on his face. Yeah. Well, you two enjoy yourself.
Adorable. My kids want a dog, and that's a nice size.
Yeah.
He's a good boy. They got a good temperament. He's a Yorkie poo. So he's got
Oh.
the energy of the Yorkie, you know, and they're very smart. Poodles are very smart. So yeah, he's a good boy.
Oh, nice.
Cool. It's called a Yorkie poo.
Yorkie poo, yeah, Yorkie and poodle.
Oh, okay.
That's not his name. Yorkie. Yorkie.
My son wants one that'll just sit on his lap all day while he's on the computer.
Oh.
That looks like, no, he won't do that.
This one, he's like
He will.
Velcro.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
He's like Velcro.
Oh. Well,
Cool.
good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you too, and thank you for having me.
Yes, all of you. I love you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone online, and
We'll see you soon somewhere.
for-